So, if you heard me this morning, I said the industry at the end, you know, upstream, like all the big houses and people who sell to the public, and people who, they may make the most of the profit, but they also are the largest investors in terms of publicity, in terms of stores, in terms of visibility. We want to eradicate the word illegal and the word traffic. This is bad. Anything that sounds illegal is negative for the business. Anything that sounds trafficking, it goes together. If it sounds like illegal, it becomes trafficking. So it's just a matter of formalization of a trade that is an actual trade, but it's considered illegal because it's not properly registered. So I will ask Mr. Petsch again to follow with whatever comments you want to make on the subject of illegal mining. And then we'll have the gentleman of Claude, who will have a lot of comments, I'm sure.
Yes. Illegal trading as well. Illegal mining in every producing country exists everywhere. You cannot avoid it. But you know, you can avoid many things in the illegal mining in supporting those people, giving them the opportunity to quickly register and being legal. If you come to the illegal trading, that means people who buy stolen stones and sell stolen stones. This is very difficult to control. We have discussed the whole day about this, and this you can only do if you have also agents around in the field who observe the market and can pinpoint people who are trading with illegal, that means stolen stones. These are the two things which have to be approached. The illegal miners have been given the facility to be legal, and of course the illegal traders who work with stolen stones, they have to be prosecuted and pinpointed and I would say punished by law. Well, that's what I have at this moment as my opinion, and I would say we give somebody else the opportunity to give his opinion.
Just to add to what Julius said, regulations and formalism need to be easy. If they're complicated and too much of a burden, and they're not respected, then everybody becomes illegal. So whatever is made in terms of legalization needs to be easy to help people to become legal and to make visible trade. You know, visibility is what is important. I mean, regulation, laws must not be complicated. It must be very easy for people to do their business with visibility, with clear reporting and clear documentation. Easy way. Next people. I give you the, I need to see who is with me on that panel today. So, Mr. Victor Kalesha, did you hear?
Yes, please.
No? Okay, please take the microphone.
Thank you. In terms of security, I think this is a very kind of an important aspect which does not only affect big brothers, it affects the small-scale miner and the nation at large, because initially, like the industry that we are involved in, this is where a lot of illegal activities are taking place. And if you look at me today as a small-scale miner owning a mine with a license, I don't even have nothing to show that I have an emerald mine. But if you go to Riverside, you find these guys in beautiful houses, Porsche vehicles, and they are even laughing at us most of the times. They would laugh at you as a miner who's got a license. They don't have a license. So I think sometimes also in this security aspect thing of it, government also has a role to play to help us to curb these illegal activities that are going on in our areas. Because you'll find that a West African, sorry if we are very West Africans, I'm referring to the ones that we deal with. You find that an West African has got all the papers, even the investment license, how they got those investments license, there's a question mark to it. And you are making our job very difficult because they will come and say, I'm an investor, I've got investment license, I got it, and so it's making our operating area a security risk. So we need to work hand in hand to make sure that we cut down these illegal mining activities in our area. We've already started up with some initiatives. Apart from that, as an association, we are handicapped. But we've come up with a lot of initiatives where we want even to do a cleanup in the area. But also in that area, maybe even Kaja would be able to agree with me, maybe even Grizzly, when we want to do a cleanup, there are people that are living in the area where we are operating from illegally. But when they go cry out to government that we have no jobs and they are chasing us from where we are operating from, government listens and says, leave them alone. So it becomes a little difficult for us. Those people, they are becoming a security danger, especially in the Emerald area now. And this is an area that we need to address immediately so that even the so-called flooding of the loose stones on the market will be cut down. Because eventually you will hear what State Council was talking about. You will hear people in Kajam's strong room, because they know the value of the stone. So let's work hand in hand to cut down on these illegal activities. The other way around, now request to the big brothers. Sometimes we also provide platform for them. You put, I don't know, especially where we are getting a lot of loose stones in Kajam, your dumps, I don't know, maybe for lack of better term, tailings, they are very loose, and we have people going there with bags and watch and every time trying to get an emerald, and they do get. I sit in an office where I know, if I tell you figures of stones that you are supposed to have sold on a higher amount, they are sold at cheaper amounts in town, and they are gotten from the dumps in Kajam. I spoke to director at Kajam and he says, no, they are not getting from there. But I know what I'm talking about. I can show you. Even some people that are buying, but we have less that we can do as an association because we are handicapped. We can provide that information because it's not good enough for our industry. I'm not happy myself as a miner to be sitting talking about land that I cannot remove anything, but yet somebody who has just come in from outside the country with no proper papers is boasting of a mansion in Riverside, buying expensive things. So security is of extreme importance, but let's try and see if we can provide employment for these so-called illegal miners from where they are operating from. I remember way back, as I conclude, way back when there was Dr. Who in Kajam? Dr. Garcia. Dr. Garcia would use the illegal miners. He would put them in the so-called some areas, provide security, and when they produce, he would put a pit there and employ them and start paying them. They come on the payroll. So maybe to cut down on that, they know, and those people are better geologists than we are. That class will be able to agree with you. They are better geologists than we are. So if we can't beat them, let's join them, let's have them around us so that we are paying them something. We cut down on the illegal stones flooding the market, killing the industry. Thank you for now.
I have one question to what you said. Now, this illegal miner who steal the stones from an existing concession of land that is not allowed to go in. How do they sell it? They sell it without any document.
Yes, they do.
Okay, well, this is the problem. You don't have the traceability of your chain.
I think if you listen from the remarks with the Honorable Minister of Mines, he was trying to say, anyone who has got any loose stone, before they could do anything with it, they should come through the association. So in the meantime, what we could do, because there are so many stones that are flying around, let's not concentrate much on where the stone is coming from. Let's make sure that government gets something out of it. Because it's already out. If it came from Kajam, from the dump, they've already gotten it. And if we put restrictions, they will sell it on black market at a cheaper price. Government will still lose out. But if it's already out and we trace where it is, we find it, let's find a way of getting it. It goes with this money, and the government also takes part of the taxes. And we can do that through the association, because we know where these stones are found. But what we do with them, nothing. But if we say we have the money on the table here, we are able to help you guys, give it to us, we'll buy it, and maybe sell it on to the big players to resell it again, we'll be able to cut down on the illegal flagging of stones on the market. So, to answer your question, yes, they sell their stones without any papers and not to identify the buyers, but to illegal buyers as well.
Well, in that case, the stones are smuggled out of the country. They're not exported legally. This is smuggling. Yes, this is smuggling. But you know, with this process that I showed you just before, these stones will not have a legal existence. They will not be able to go into the official invisible pathway. If they don't have the certificate of origin, they will be out of the stone. They will find a way. There will always be people buying these kind of stones. But the way that really produce the high price will be the official channel pass that is certified. So I call Mr. Del Litana.
Thank you. Informal illegal trade, yes. We're saying, is it there or is it not there? If it's there, do we legalize it or not? Not so easy an answer. I think what we should look at is what constitutes this. Here is one miner with a license, everything on board. He needs struggles, has struggles, comes up with one stone, legally. She's not going to fly to Lusaka to go and find the market for that. She has to find somebody who can buy it off her. What would the answer be for that? Shouldn't we perhaps be looking for creating of a buying house, like promoting the Jameson Center in Ndola, or maybe one of the big guys, big brothers come up, or even empower the association to buy that off them so that it's brought into the system. Now, if we have to look at it that way, ZRI must also come in, because from the same informal and illegal trade, what is ZRI collecting from there? I don't think they are collecting anything. If we have to think of a buying house, it must be a one-stop shop where money will be, ZRI will be there. Probably a form could be designed where if one comes and sells, there must be tabled. If you sell for so much, there must be so much tax charged on that and collected there and then to stop this small miner going all over the place to try and sell his or her stone, because it becomes very expensive. Security, safety, and revenue collection, they are the three things we should look at. Let me just give you one example of one nasty thing that almost happened in my mind. If we condoning this sort of trade, I know it's a job, it's a form of creating jobs, but limits must be there. Mines, most mines are not operating now, but sooner or later, more mines will be operating. There will be blasting everywhere. Normally what happens when you blasting, you go around with a whistle warning the people, and if you are a miner, you know where to go and hide. You know what to do when that whistle goes. An illegal miner doesn't know what to do. One time I was blasting in my mine. When we blasted, because of the impact, all the ground shook. The dumping, my dump shook, and there was a big rock right there on top. There was a group of illegal miners camping, not right at the bottom of the dump, halfway, to shield themselves from the cold or whatever. that thing fell from there, just missed them by inches. 7 people would have gone. I would have been in trouble. So are we saying we condone that? Those are issues we should look at. I traveled to Lufanyama on that road in Lufanyama. I see so many people, so many vehicles driving there to buy stones. They've got their small licenses. It comes to the maintenance of the road. All I look to is Grizzly to come in and help. Those people are not contributing anything, nothing at all. So should that sort of thing be condoned? No, it shouldn't. So in my view, this, I know the chairman said it's there in the world and you cannot stop it. No, I think it should be stopped. The legal mind there said, why don't we look at the penalties? Anybody you find with a stone that is not supposed to have, they big penalize him, big penalty. Maybe we can cut down on that. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with the penalty. Enforcement is very important. Once you have clear regulations that are in place, regulation again needs to be simple, clear, and understandable, and doable. But then there's no infringement possible. Infringement must be punished very severely. It must become a crime. Okay, so the next person is Mr. Lameck Malipilo. Thank you. It would be good if you introduce yourself, because the previous person, I understood he was a minor, but he may be also an association person. You know, Mr. Litana, I understand you're a minor.
I'm president of ESMAS as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. And Mr. Lameck, can you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you. I'm Lameck Malipilo. I'm Senior Manager Security Operations, Kaja. I have the wonderful job of trying to stop theft. That is my team and I will start by saying that illegal emerald dealings are more complex than actually what meets the eye. I remember when I would like to agree with what Honorable Musuma said in the morning, when he said that the people that speak the loudest are the beneficiaries. And in this industry, this is exactly how it is. Now, loudest, in my view, can be both straight and metaphorical. In this industry, the people who are behind theft are in different categories. There are those that go it alone, and there are those who are organized. Kajam has a history of theft that is well documented, to an extent where when one goes through this history, you find that the people who have been talking the loudest have been in this, stealing business, I'll call it that, for a long time. And they are not happy when they see certain people who are perceived to be bottlenecks in trying to stop them, or in trying to stop or disturb their livelihood. And they speak the loudest when it comes to condemning such persons. There is mudslinging. They peddle a lot of rumors, unfounded rumors. And of course, these rumors are targeted on individuals perceived to be major bottlenecks, as I said earlier. People who are seen to be blocking thefts of emerald and related activities. It would be prudent to, properly scrutinize the source of this kind of information or rumors before reacting to it. I'm appealing to the government as well to look into this. It's unfortunate that a big number of, I'll be very careful, I don't want to create, fatal grounds for litigation. Our friends from the West, West Africans, a big chunk of them are involved in this. And, well, names are there. I'm not going to mention any, but if you approach me properly, I could give you something. This is not saying that our fellow Zambians are not involved. They are there. But as I said earlier, the bigger chunk, the bigger number is that of West Africans. They entice our men and women, with goodies of different kinds. Expensive phones, watches, even motor vehicles. You are right. We in security are actually more targeted than others by the simple reason that where there is production, we are there. And once we are made to collude or to follow their line of thinking, their battle have been won halfway already. Now I'll say something here in connection with how emerald is stolen. I won't say a lot of things because I don't want to render myself useless, because this is supposed to be secrets. Now, emerald is stolen mainly at the point of production. In the pit, for example, the mode is connivance. The person who's chiseling, for example, is going to connive with the security personnel who are there, or any other senior person. It could be a supervisor. But in most cases, and I'm saying in most cases, 95%, stealing of emerald is extremely difficult without connivance. By the simple reason that when emerald is being extracted, security is there and other people are there. So you have to speak the same language, think in the same manner. Anything less than that will render the whole operation, if you can call it that, useless. It is very, very difficult, as I said, for a single person to plan and successfully manage to steal emerald alone. In Kajam, there's been a lot of talk that we've recruited a lot of non-Zambians in security, because of these the rumors I talked about and wrong information. It has gone to an extent where they are even saying that information being given, wrong information, is that the majority of the security personnel is non-Zambian. It's not true. In case you are wondering, I'll give you some figures. We are 116 in my department, and only 15 are non-Zambians. The rest 101 are Zambians. But what's amazing is that what the 15 have done from the time James Foods take over Kajam, as compared to what the 101 have done, will surprise you. Let me give you some figures quickly. Now, the 101 Zambians, that includes me, have made 11 arrests from 2008 to date. And these 11 arrests have culminated into 2,340 carats of emerald being recovered. I beg your pardon? The arrests have been, yes, 11. And the total pieces, 17 pieces. And the weight, 2,340 carats. Now, the 15, they've made sorry. 44 arrests. 44 arrests, 157 incidents, and 37,350 carats worth of emerald. In my view, and it's a very strong view, I really wish we had more of these expatriates. This is not saying that we Zambians cannot do a good job. No. We have Zambians in my department who are actually very good. Well, I think I'm one of them. And they do their job accordingly. But the bottom line is that our friends, and by the way, when I talk about our friends, the 15 are mostly from Nepal, they're Nepalese. And they've done a good job, as I've explained. The principle used here is simple, actually it's biblical. The Christians, we believe, those of us who read the Bible well,
yeah.
we know about the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Where I think it's in the book of Exodus, where a group of people were trying to build a tower so that they could reach God.
Yeah.
So when God saw that their purpose, what they were intending to do was not right, He decided to confuse them by giving them different languages. Because they were using one language, they were together, they were thinking alike, they were thinking alike, they were able to achieve many things. Now, He confused them. When one person wants a brick, the other person would want probably some piece of wood or something like that. And the end result was, they did not build, they failed. This is the principle we use. Culture has a history, as I said, of theft. And we have tried in the past many different ways of carrying this scourge. We've tried the commercial security guys, our Zambians. We've tried security personnel from Israel. We've tried security personnel from South Africa. It never worked. We've even tried our own brothers in the Western Province, the Manyangos. The idea was to try and see where we could, this connivance or this communication can be cut. It never worked. So we have to use this Babel, the Tower of Babel principle, which is a very basic principle. When we thought of bringing in this group of Nepalese, who have got a different way of thinking, different way of looking at things, this has worked miracles. I've given you the figures. Someone would steal, and you would go to this Nepalese guy or non-Zambian and try to connect with him, try to connect with him. Well, the guy would react, except he would react in what he thinks is right. He would apprehend you. And this is the end result. For the moment, I'll end there. Thank you.
Before we conclude, I just would like to just say one thing. Illegal miners, there's two types of illegal miners. There's an illegal miner who's mining in a place where he doesn't have a permit to mine, but he's not stealing anything. He's just mining without a permit. And this is what we call an illegal miner. What we're referring to are thieves. A thief is not an illegal miner, he's a thief. Yeah, but there's a big difference. In terms of law and punishment, there's a big difference. So this is my conclusion. So I think we can. Anybody else wants to add something? Any questions, or before we move to the next panel?
I think let's just remind each other of the 2-minute window, both in asking the question and answering the question. I think we can take a total of 4 questions if we stick to the 2-minute window. If we can all agree on that, then we can stick to about 4 questions. I think the gentleman in the jersey over there, followed by the gentleman over there, and the gentleman over there. Let's see if there's anybody who hasn't asked a question. I know we gave him a chance earlier. I saw your hand raised for the earlier discussion. I don't know if you have a question you'd like to pose now. That's the gentleman in the front, okay?
Thanks very much.
Oh, is that so? Oh, all right.
My name is Adrian Banks and I'm the product director for Gemfields. I think we could all agree that as long as there's going to be colour gemstone mining and emerald mining, there's going to be theft. And I agree with Mr. Litana who said, you know, there's people stealing and there's no real way for them to find the market. And it's very damaging for everybody. Someone who steals a gemstone, it has no cost to them whatsoever. They've picked it up and they may not understand the value. And that's damaging to us, the big brothers, the small scale miners, everybody in the industry, because this stone could be sold for a very low price and just disrupt all the work that everyone's put in. So I think it could be a really good idea to have various outlets in Petsch or near the producing area where people have stolen or even produce legitimately that can go and offer their product. These will be run and will be governed by the government of Zambia, taxes will be paid, and there'll be a traceable route to market. With what Mr. Michelou said earlier, we can find a way, a chain of warranties that would be perfect. But I do think there needs to be several options because people will then believe they are getting a fair price. It gives them options and it can be well regulated. Thank you.
I just want to add, chain of custody or warranty. This, I didn't go into details, but one of the things that is mandatory is that the countries have buying platforms. This is part of the eligibility of the countries. They need to be, like what you said, they need to be places where all of these things can be cultivated and can enter. For a small miner, for anybody, in order to trace and give an opportunity for everybody and legalize whatever is not legal. That is also a part of it. So, this is a very good point, Adrian. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Feston Sonda, and I want to say I'm a president for Sub-Saharan Gemstone Exchange. Now, you know how painful my heart bleeds that when I've sat in a lot of forums like this, arranged by World Bank, I'm sure my big brother, Mr. Litana, will attest to it. One thing is that I understand my brother doing a presentation. You are trying to compare what a Zambian water security person can do and a foreigner. We came up to formalize this trade with a gemstone exchange facility in Ndola, and we went to the extent of even declaring this place as an industrial park, which has incentives to encourage value addition, if you like. But to date, including what we are calling the big brothers, they all said gem exchanges don't do it. Maybe it's a terminology that people confuse it with. We created the one-stop center which should have ZRA, Ministry of Mines. Now, we are talking about illegal marketing in Zambia. I can assure you, without any formal trading place, the whole gemstone sector in Zambia is illegal. There is nowhere, you cannot expect farmers to go and grow maize, then you don't give them a facility where to sell from. Now, there is no formalized place. There is no end buyer who can buy. So any stall that someone has, this is a challenge today and it will continue. Even, I'm happy, I hope I'll be able to discuss more tomorrow we have a panel of exchanges. But at this point in time, all gemstone trading is illegal. There is no formalized structure. A homegrown initiative. It took us 7 years to develop the concept. Dr. Sixtus and I used to be a chairman. Under diversification program, we said, let us have a place. You can have 1,000 illegal stores, but as long as you monitor the exit, we are able to tell a stone from Kajam or a stone from another mine. But this is something that we, the private sector, have resisted. And I want to challenge everyone. We cannot say set up marketing run by government. Government says it's not their business, run business. We have capacity as private sector. So this is a lesson that is hitting us back. Let us set up formalized places where you can take to. At the moment, everything we are doing is illegal, so to speak, if I can be bold here.
what you just addressed is related to the exchange, right? We are facing that tomorrow.
No, but in this case, I'm saying there's no formal trading place.
No, I understand.
So I want to contribute that.
No, okay, because you mentioned the exchange. I think this is something we address tomorrow.
Yes, that's what
Okay, so I will not say anything on this topic.
Yes, my name is C. Suresh, Director Operations for Zambia for Gemfields. The illegal miners generally have a very low literacy level, and when they steal the stone and get the stone from anywhere, from any mine, they do not know the technical terms to use from where they have got the stones, if somebody asks them. So, a little bit of technical terms I would like to say is there's a waste dump, there's an ore stockpile, and there is a tailing dump. But when you ask an illegal miner from where he got the stone, he would say from the dump. So that is how generally people say, beyond Kalesha, everybody says it has come from the dump. Then, second important thing what I would like to bring out to the audience is, gemstones are stolen from all the mines. Kajam, Grizzly, Michelou, or even small other operating mines. The levels of stealing could be different, and the level of stealing is directly proportional to the production levels. Now, when the gems are stolen from different mines, to get premium value for the gemstones, they generally tell the people to whom they are selling that it is a Kajam gemstone to get premium value. It may not be from Kajam, but still people take it as Kajam gemstone stolen because of the premium value they could expect to get out of that. Because geologically, the most prolific fire Kerala TMS belt runs for about 13 kilometers, and the gemstones, about 80% of the gemstones, the high quality, good quality, have come from that Kerala TMS belt. And the mines, even Mr. Litana's mine is on the same belt. Grizzly is also on the same belt. Gemfield also is on the same belt, and Kajam also. So, the geological formation of the gemstones are almost the same because it is coming from the same fire Kerala TMS belt. So, looking at the stone, you could never say from where it belonged to. There I would like to conclude to say that yes, people do say that it is coming from the dump, and waste dump, the miners who have spent millions of dollars on mining would never throw a stone in the waste dump. I am sure of that for all the miners who are working at the emerald area. Thank you so much.
I'll ask 2 questions in 2 minutes. My first question is to Dr. Malipilo from the EITI. Of the gemstone mines that are here, how many are considered of material significance and hence are contributing data, reporting data to EITI? And my second question is to Mr. Jean-Claude Michelou on the certification and tracing system. Or what are the expected costs of complying with this system once it comes into full effect, especially on the impact on the small scale mining terms?
Okay, I don't think Dr. Mulenga is with us at present.
Maybe I can get the answer from the mining companies themselves.
Okay.
Is there anyone contributing information to the EITI process?
It's a collaboration of government and
Okay, I think Mr. Nyirenda will take that up, but certainly Mr. Michelou, you have.
If I understood well, you're asking the cost of such a system?
the cost of complying.
This should be most any cost. It's just a matter of issuing the proper documents. And you don't have to have the police to check your document. You just have a document that is kept from one level to the other. Now, if at a certain point there is a suspicion, or it is a fraud suspicion, or you can have random check, and if the chain is broken with counterfeit papers or no paper at all, you break the chain, it becomes a crime. There is no cost of compliance. The cost of keeping the right papers, it's a regulation. And being clear and being visible and keeping the right track of papers has no cost. It's just the cost of filling them and keeping them and being registered. I mean, nobody's taxing you for that. Of course, once you become visible, you become accountable. And you're accountable to what? To the papers you issue, and also to the amount of business that you do. That is for government to ask you to pay something or not. It becomes visibility for government. But there's no cost.
Let me just respond to this EITI issue. If you listen to Dr. Mlenga's presentation, he made it very clear that the composition is government, industry, and civil society. Now, the mining industry is obviously represented by the Chamber of Mines. So any information that the EITI would require would obviously be extracted firstly from the Chamber of Mines, secondly from government departments, the Ministry of Mines, Ministry of Finance, and other relevant ministries. Now, whether or not these companies that are represented here submit this information to the relevant authorities, I'd like to suggest that and submit that compliance levels are there, because otherwise government would not have been issued export licenses. The government would not have been able to issue all those certifications that are required to export these products. So in terms of this industry, I'd like to submit that yes, there is a level of compliance. Let me just give an observation on the so-called illegal industry. I call it the secondary industry. There will always be that industry. It will always be there. It will be wishful thinking to suggest that we can eliminate this completely. But what we need to do is target the product that is in illegal hands. And one way of bringing that product into circulation or into the regular market is to issue, in my view, a moratorium, firstly. Anyone who is in possession of stones, however obtained, will be given a moratorium period to declare it. During that moratorium period, you suspend those sanctions, because otherwise people will not come forward, with their products. And where do they take their product? You establish sell points, and these sell points, if you like, would be a one-stop shop where all the relevant, government authorities are present, the regulatory authorities, as well as a willing buyer. Now, whether you want to do the gem exchange, or whether you just want to set up trading, shops all over the country, is a different. It is neither here nor there. But there must be a willing buyer who would subsequently regularize those products. And obviously, after that moratorium period, anyone else who is found with those illegal stones will have to face the sanction of the law. I know in Kitwe, reference was made to people having houses and mansions and stuff like that. This is the reality. You find a driver at Kajem. One of the drivers was driving me to the mine, and I said to him, "I know you have a mansion in Kitwe. How did you manage to buy a mansion like that?" You see the point? And that is where the law is there. Under the Anti-Corruption Corrupt Practices Act, if you have assets which are not commensurate with your levels of income, the authorities should be able to ask you how you came across such kind of assets. Now you would say to me, no, but Katem is a private sector, a private company, or Grizzly Mining is surely Grizzly Mining, if they are concerned about the levels of theft in their company, should be able to engage DEC or ACC to help them, investigate such. Similarly, as in Kajem, we should be able to engage these established agencies to assist in investigating, such. Because I don't see how a driver who is earning, say, about $500 per month or whatever it is, well, not dollars now, it's illegal. 2.5 million, 2.5 million kwacha would have, or 2,500 rebase. No, I'm still in the old country. It's still legal until June, end of June. Would have a property worth over $200,000. I find it incredible. A chap who is, a washer in the wash plant at Kajem would be driving a an E320 Mercedes. I find it incredible. So why don't we follow the man?
Yeah.
I think we can I want just to add something to what you just said. I mean, it passed a law in Colombia to regulate those things precisely. And they gave 6 months of moratorium. Then they go to 1 year because people were crying. So we give you another 6 months. But after that, anything that is not declared is illegal. And you cannot even carry it. If you're taken in the street by the police carrying gemstones, if you have no paper, no tracing, you go to jail. That is the law. So this is very effective, as a matter of fact.
All right, well, certainly no time moratorium here. The discussion has been wrapped up officially. But thank you very much to the chair and to all the members of the panel. Thank you once again for the contributions from each and every person that has put their point across. And once again, please, if we do have further questions with regards to any topic, please do note them, and you can certainly squeeze them in the discussions that proceed. But for now, we shall proceed to our next panel. Special thank you once again to Mr. Victor Kalesha, as well as Mr. Litana, as well as Mr. Lameck Malipilo, as well as Julius Petsch. So thank you very much to the panel, and we shall proceed with our next discussion. This one is entitled The History of Cutting and Polishing. So as the previous panel makes way for the new panel, just to call upon the new chair who is already sitting there, Mr. Julius Petsch. He will be chairing this next discussion. So we'll be moving on with our program. Once again, it is entitled The History of Cutting and Polishing in Zambia. A reminder once again that the summit does continue, and all questions and comments as well as debates can either be put across the next time we have a question and answer session, or they can be discussed in the networking session. It's one of the many reasons we encourage you to mix and mingle once we are out of this actual hall. The discussions and policies and conclusions that come out of this will certainly continue. That is our hope, at least. So, calling on the next panel. Please join us, Mr. Amon Wanda, as well as Mr. Patrick Chiburu, Mr. Festo Musonda, and already present on the table is Mr. Jean-Claude Michelou. Thank you very much. reminder once again that the chair for this discussion entitled The History of Cutting and Polishing in Zambia is Mr. Julius Petsch. Thank you very much.
Well, history of cutting and polishing in Zambia. The real history of cutting and polishing in Zambia started with the amethyst. About 30 years back, when there was only amethyst producing in Zambia, already the idea came, why do we only export rough? We also have to process them. And the Zambian government called experts from mostly from Germany to come here and to teach Zambian people to cut stones. This was done, was functioning well, and also equipment was brought from Germany to Zambia, and they started cutting. They started cutting the three types of cut: polishing facet stones, polishing capuchon, and making beads. And as far as I remember, the beads was the most successful, because the Zambian amethysts were ideal to make this, and it was really picking up until the huge exports from amethyst went also to East Asia, first to Hong Kong, then to China, and then you could buy a Zambian amethyst necklace from East Asia, let's say for 10% of the price you could produce in Zambia. So the Zambian cutting and polishing industry did not grow. It remained let's say, cottage industry. But then of teaching people, but then they also changed the equipment. With the German equipment of cutting and polishing, you needed 1 or 2 years to be able to cut a nice stone. With the equipment which came later on from Thailand and from Israel, you could teach a man in 3 to 6 months to do the same job. And this was a very big advantage. And then they could much easier train people to cut and polish stones in a very short time. But as far as I know, it never became a world standard, because to become a world standard, you need to have a diversifying in stones. But the only production which was in Zambia always available in greater quantities were only amethyst. When we speak from aquamarine, when we speak from tourmaline cutting, there were sporadic discoveries, sometimes in bigger quantities, sometimes in smaller quantities, but there was there was never a continuation over years of producing this kind of stones. And for the international buyers to come to Zambia to buy only amethyst, it was not, I would say, profitable to come here, because we need first to cut to international standards, you have to adapt the international sizes, and you have, of course, to have a great production which was not established here. So until now, there are cutters in Zambia. They are cutting fine stones and well stones. They're cutting for the local industry, and I would say they're cutting for the neighboring countries, like in South Africa, or going to Mozambique or some other places here around your country, and deliver cut stones. But the Zambian cutting and polishing industry has never reached, let's say, this large production of international level which is necessary, which you have, for example, in Thailand, where they cut millions of carats in the course of a few months, or when you come to China and Hong Kong. So I think people who have more insight in this cutting and polishing history are sitting with me here on the table, and if you allow, I will ask first Mr. Amon Wanda to tell us something about the history of cutting and polishing in Zambia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, I started my cutting business under an apprenticeship with a cutter from Brazil by the name of Antonio Fernando Ribeiro. And Antonio Fernando Ribeiro used to work for, I think Jean-Claude would know, the late Kenneth Mogadam? Yes. Yes, Kenneth Mogadam was one of the biggest buyers and movers of topaz in the States. So he came here and partnered with Mr. Ranchot, and they set up a company called Kalesha Industries. So from there, I think he was there for 6 months, And the equipment that I learned how to cut on is actually called a jump leg, and it's one of the most difficult to use, but very, very effective in terms of retention. I mean, when cutting stones, retention is of the utmost because you'll be able to retain much of the stone. And well, after that, I worked with a couple of other people, and by now I'm working on my own, and I've been involved in a lot of government projects in trying to move the industry forward. Okay, like he said, like Julius said, well, initially, what was perceived about the Zambian cut stones? Whenever you go anywhere else, they'll tell you like, where is it cut from? They'll tell you it's cut from Zambia, and they always have this negative feeling about stones which are coming out of Africa. But to date, I can actually be able to challenge anyone to say, okay, go and bring 3 or 5 of your best cutters, wherever they are, and we'll come up with maybe 2 or 3 or 5 of us, and we'll see what is happening. Because I know a lot of Zambian jewelry companies do actually import a lot of stones from India. And most of the times, because of the aspect of weight retention, you find that you cannot actually be able to set the stones in jewelry properly. So I am contracted most of the times to recut the stones. And I do recut stones for all the reputable jewelers in Zambia. And I should be able to say that I gladly met Mina Kunis at Jagoda because she came to see me cut stones. Now, that aside, the history of gemstone cutting is quite hazy in Zambia in that we have a lot of, I think what has really been coming out of this summit is that the gemstone sector itself is not actually very, very well organized. And this goes to the people on the ground and even in as far as our government is concerned. For instance, if you want to set up a lapidary, right, for you to be able to possess a stone, to carry a stone, you have to get a gemstone sales certificate, right, from the Ministry of Mines. It ends there. So if you want to set up a lapidary, you have to go to the council to get a manufacturing license. The Ministry of Mines does not have any authority or say in as far as establishing a lapidary is concerned. So you see that there's a very, very big lapse. And I wish to say I was very happy when Mr. Nonde from ZRA was talking about establishing a database. I think all the stakeholders have to come into play to say, okay, fine, how can we actually regulate and monitor this? And I think it's high time the Ministry of Mines and Zambia Revenue Authority actually came together to formalize the setting up of lapidaries. Because if you went to the Ministry of Mines and said, okay, but how many lapidaries are there? They don't have any figures. You have to go to the councils, and the councils, they just give you a manufacturing license. And what I heard Jean-Claude say, in the world, in most countries, 80% of the stones that are sold come from small-scale mining. But it's actually reversed in Zambia to say it's about 80% that are mined come from the big. I mean, it makes my heart bleed. Because I get inquiries to say, okay, fine, you're a cutter. Yes, I've been referred to you by so-and-so. Could you please get me a very fine 6-carat emerald? I am blank. I do not know where to get it from. The problem is, I'm Mr. Nerenda. I wanted to address this with you.
Even I've seen the gem of Kajaman walk away. I've also observed.
Yes. So I mean, the sad part is, I as an individual, or even if I have $20,000 to say, I cannot go to Kajam and say I want to buy a stone. I cannot even go to Kariba Minerals to say I buy, because these companies have been set up in such a way that all their produce has to be exported. Now, what pride do we as Zambians, or do we as lapidarians have? Because we do not have access. So, that in itself turns back into promoting the illegal. the chairman for ESMAS, I mean, I think the minister in the morning said, ESMAS does not even have an office. It's sad reading. They do not have an office. So if I went to the Copper Belt and I want to see, Julius Petsch comes in from wherever he comes from, and he says, okay, fine, he says that I want to buy an emerald. I take him to go and see the ESMAS chair. I have to meet him at his house. What is going to do?
Can we correct that? While you are talking, we have an office in Kitwe, well established at Kachunga. So please, that issue.
I think I'm referring to what the minister had said. So
okay. I'm just correcting that because there are a lot of people here, they will say they have no office, so we need to know that we have an office, well established, very organized office, where you can find anything. You can even get your emerald if you want.
Sorry, sir. I am merely referring to what the minister had said in the morning, and I think the people that were here in the morning were rude to that. So that's basically my cry for the industry. The industry is growing. The government has set up an initiative to start up a Johnson Cutting School, and to date I've employed 2 people from there, and as of now I've got 2 trainees from there. So right now I've got 4. And this country, if we the stakeholders put our heads together, we have the ability to move the industry forward. And even the value addition that we always cry about can be a thing of the past. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll give the word to the next gentleman. That is Mr. Michelou. Sorry,
Good afternoon. My name is Michelou. I'm a gemologist by profession. We also did a bit of metallurgy. I worked for government for about 20 years. So I'm not a cutter, but I'll speak from the gemstone industry background in relation to the cutting and polishing. From my observation, Zambia really hasn't reached the standard of the country we can go has got a large cutting and polishing industry. As at now, I think Mr. Banda will agree with me, most of the cutting and polishing is done on an individual basis. He says he's got a cutting facility and he only employs 2 people. And since we are talking about history, I think the best that we did was in the early 90s with the Zambian emerald industries, where emeralds from Kajam, top quality, would be selected and cut and then sold via auction. But over the years, that also fell through. There was a bit of 1, 2, 3, 4 challenges. As you know, the marketing of rough stones is different from marketing of cut and polished. There's a preference for cut and polished. Certain buyers would want certain cuts, shapes, etc., etc. And that's why those who buy, these who come for auctions, that's why they will select a certain parcel to meet their needs. So we had a problem to sell correct cut and polished. Maybe that's what they're not looking for. So along the way, that went off. Later on, I think Mr. Musonda, there was some cutting machine that you had. We're talking about history. Yes. I think you explained later that also went away. Kajam, I think at your exchange tried, but that also went away. Reasons, I think we'll leave it to the relevant people to let us know. But having said that, maybe what I can contribute is maybe observations. Of late, we've been hearing the authorities, stakeholders, they all want us to like value addition. They're talking about value addition in terms of cutting and polishing. Now, before we go to that, maybe we need to tackle 1, 2, 3 issues. Are we ready for that, or are we not ready for that? Why haven't we gone further? How have we compared to other countries? Today I can go to Hong Kong or Bangkok. I can buy a cut and polish stone, especially the most common ones. I can come back and sell it, or maybe even half the price that our colleagues might be asking for. So there are several issues that we need to tackle or look at before we jump into that scenario, or let's go and do the cutting and polishing of gemstones before they are sold. So I feel we might be rushing into that, minus looking at the implications. Like I said, marketing of rough is different from marketing of cut and polish. We can do value addition in other ways. I think I've seen on there's something to that effect. Somebody will explain much better than myself. We talked about reliability. If we go ahead, we cut and polish, are we able to supply the cut and polished reliably? Already Mr. Vanda has said Belgium and Kariba minerals exclusively for export. So where are we going to be getting those gemstones to be cut and polished? In other words, we'll be saying Belgium and Kariba minerals will be forcing you to cut and polish your stones before you export. Are we saying that or not? Unfortunately, it would have been better if the cutting and polishing school authorities were here. It would have given us a chance to, they would have explained how far the school has gone. I think they have produced about 50 plus graduates. So they would have given us an idea of how we have progressed. Has it had any impact or no impact, or how the graduates are doing? So in conclusion, the gemstone cutting and polishing history is a very brief one, and I can say, maybe what I can say, it's now history in the making. That is why now I've talked about what do we look at. There are several other things that we should look at, but I think we want a very short history. And then if we want to go further, there's a lot of homework that has to be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chibulu, for your comments. Very interesting. But let us hear now Mr. Buzonda, his opinion and his impression about history of cutting and polishing Zambian emeralds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Well, the history, I think, going from my colleagues, the biggest history about the cutting and polishing, we talk about former Zambia emerald industries. I think you touched on it. I think in the Zambian history, we cannot ignore that. The whole background was that this company was set up. It was a very, very successful company. It has a security of supply. It used to be fed by Kajam. Okay, the history of who owned Kajam was there. So the official story we have is that, like the chairman said, no, because of the shapes they couldn't cut, so they were not sustainable. Chairman, I wish to submit that the reason why that company fell was that the security of supply was terminated. Some policy changed whereby Kajam, when the ownership changed, they changed the policy. We are a mining company, our core business is to mine. Why are we sending it to that company to cut and add value? For some reason, whether it was intelligence or carelessness or whatever it is, there was a separation. You are cutting, you are on your own from today, you compete. That's how that company went. But otherwise, I can assure you my passion for gemstone sector. That whole building, I bought that building. Up to now, I still keep it, and I know one day we'll be able to cut stones there. Now, what followed through was that because the stones in Zambia, it was about amethyst and the emerald that was being cut. Stones, by the way, Mr. Chairman, it doesn't matter the shape, it has a market. Yes, the market might not be the topmost jewel I'm buying, but stones is a myth. This is, as long as you have a willing buyer, it doesn't matter whether it's in rough form, it's a necklace, and the stone can go from $1 per carat to $10,000 per carat. But to me, we have failed to develop this sector due to lack of policy. I'll tell you what happened is that because most people were saying, you know, the way Zambian people cut is manual. You can cut calibrated stone because the manufacturers, they want like 1,000 stones which are the same size, same shape. I convinced a group of friends of mine. We invested into a $2 million top of the range German designed machines, which was cutting 47 stones, and you can program it to cut and shape same things in Indora we set up. And during that time, Zambian emerald industry had gone down. There were more than 150 gemstone cutters in Indora. We took about 10 or 12 of them to retrain them. We brought the German expert, trained them. And everyone, we put out the way that we had set up this issue. Then we took orders from Europe for wanting stones. You know that Kajam, we want to buy stones. Oh no, you know our method of selling. If you want to buy stone, there will be an auction of 6 months. You come to bid those days, the policy of Kajam is that one bidder buys it all. We went to auctions. The issue was not about money. There was no transparency in the sale of auctions. People would buy auctions. No, he has bought everything. The one who buys, can you sell us one of these parcels? No, if you want, you can come to Jaipur, you follow us. Lack of adequate policy, lack of transparency killed. Up to now, this state of machinery, I can assure you, is there. Now, I started out of interest to study this sector. I traveled to Jaipur, to Germany. Surprising when you go to Jaipur, look, people, they were cutting just using sticks. Even the machines which were treated as old machines in Zambia was almost second generation. They cut sitting on the floor with very basic small tools. When I asked them who makes them, small colleges, these craftsmen, our guys who are welding things in Kaniganinga can make simple tools. They will use it. They will use, I've got some of this, by the way, I can exhibit to you if you come to Ndora. They have got a wooden thing with a lot of, jump peg. Okay, but I need to explain. The jump peg up to date, you know, cutting stones is an art. It's like Kuba sign. Let's not always imagine that it's so complex. It's a simple thing. It's artists, painters, and in Zambia, we're not trying to say let's cut and polish gemstones for the world market in America. No. Our local people are visiting Zambia. You have seen the necklaces. You come to arcades on Sunday. That's the kind of value addition we're talking about. In India, I can tell you, you can take this plate as we see it here. If a small artist can draw a giraffe here, you get the waste powder from amethyst, you do a mosaic. This can sell $15 in America. Why should our women be hacking their hands, breaking stones? So value addition, let's not restrict it to cutting and polishing. I think we're misleading ourselves. Now, I went further. When most of these gemstone cutters in India, they said, you know what? We receive, I think we believe, over 20%. Amethyst comes in containers in Zambia. Me, I've got 4 floors of the cutting. This stone comes from you. Now, you cannot see the amount that leaves Zambia. But you go on the other side, they tell you, all this material comes from your country. Then I said, but how complicated is this for the market? They said, no. As long as we can find the skill. Of course, going like the Indian way, these are 100 years, people pass on skill. The grandfather taught the son, who taught the guy and the like. But it doesn't matter where you start from. They told me, if you can set up like a training center there, so we can come and you set up a place where we can stay. The Gemstone Training Center you have seen in Indora, I traveled with Dr. Nkanza to India, and we signed an MOU to set up a training center here because there was a need. But I told them, I'm private sector, I'd rather leave the training to a government department. That is how that training center was set up. And the first place we set it up was within the Sub-Saharan Gemstone Industrial Park, in the former Zambia Emerald building. I thought that was a history we could create. But as fate would have it, one PS changed in this department. The first time he came to see, he said, "Oh, you are training people here. Who's the owner of this building?" "No, it belongs to this man." "Why are you paying him? Can we buy our own building?" In 3-4 months' time, they didn't even say buy.
Oh dear.
They moved, but they forgot that we are here because someone has a vision. They went and bought elsewhere. But the whole planning of the cutting was that we were going to have 3 industries. The Gemstone Exchange itself, which is a marketing place where we thought whoever has a stone, we gave an office to the Minister of Mines. He can attest to it. You'll be here because when a small-scale miner comes with a stone, he needs to have a minimum value. You should tell him what that would be. We got one of the banking houses. You set up in the Gem Exchange. What we want as a Gem Exchange is purely, we have MOUs with the international buyers. What we want is that if someone comes with a stone and you value it at $20, we will advance this miner 50% pending our auction or selling of his stone. We set up that. But what happens now? Further on, they said you have to attract the bigger brothers. The Gem Exchange, can only be sustainable if you can get Grizzly, Kajam, and everything. We said, well, this is criticism, but it's good. You have to work with the sector players. Or you also have to widen it. We proposed on the board, our ESMAS was there, Bank of Zambia support this initiative. We even managed to get Kajam mines now offered. That was the time I think of after privatization. They said, I think the initiative is good. After marketing 2 years, they came and rented one of the properties where they were going to employ 500 gemstone cutters. They even sent, I think, 15 people for specialized training. They even brought the equipment, I think. We set up in this place. So you can imagine the training center was in one place, the marketing center another place, and Kajam, of course, was going to lead and give an example to gemstone cutting. And we were supposed to commission the Gem Exchange. As fate would have it, when the president went to Egypt, he was the Minister of Mines, remember Litana? He came to inspect so we could commission this thing. After he died, our President Manawasa, everything changed. Before we knew it, even the laptop that was going to open, they came and shut it, closed it. They took all the machines. These machines, as I'm talking, sorry, I have to be bought. They are locked up in some container in a bush. It's a pity in this country. What is the missing link is a policy. If we have a policy, the Zedarai brother is here. We did set up a one-stop center. Up to now, there's a physical building. That's why I stay all the time. We even got the declaration of this industrial park so that the people who are coming to set up gemstone industries can get incentives for as long as they add value. If you cut gemstones, you'll be able to attract the jewelry making. But the supply chain, including the difficult that was there, is that no bank is able to advance any money to a gemstone miner because they said when you are selling yourself to someone in the street, how will I get the money? And with a lot of banks that came that once you formalize this place, we can be stocking these things. That is in a nutshell. The security of supply, the lack of policy is what is missing. Now, I want to sound a warning to us Zambians here that the solution for us to address our problem lies within us. And some of this presentation I'm following through, my heart bleeds because really we always think an outside thing is where we should go. Our solutions lies with us.
Yes.
And the gemstone, if someone can be attracted to a rough gemstone, you think something that is even cut is clear, no one can buy? I leave it to you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Mr. Musonda, thank you very much for your presentation. I remember the time of the Zambian cutting industry, and I can tell you at that time I have seen, because I was occupied with this as well, I have seen a lot of stones cut there, and they were perfectly cut. The young people, Zambian people, were very capable, they were very skilled, they were very, I would say, motivated to cut. I remember that. And I've seen so much production there, which was made at that times, which could meet any international standard. This I can tell you from my own observations. And that's true, how it is. Now I'll give the word to Mr. Jean-Claude Michelou. He is the last one on our line this time, for his president, for his
Yeah, my conclusion of what was said. My question to Julius is that this production of cut gemstone that you observed at that time, where was it sold?
These stones were sold outside Zambia. They were sold mostly, I refer to the emeralds, they were sold mostly via Switzerland and distributed all over the world.
In Switzerland? They went this way, they were going to Switzerland?
They were going to Switzerland, yes.
Okay. All right, so now I just want to conclude on the gemstone cutting. You know, when you start cutting gemstone, you need a capital, because you don't, the cut stone doesn't sell the next day. Rough is cash. Cut stone is not cash. You need to find a customer who needs this size, this color, this type of gemstone, and he will ask you for credit. This is what happens outside. Or you need to go to the trade shows, and you need to find your customer, build it up. This is a lot of cost behind it. A lot of cost. So people that are in the business of cutting, like the Thai industry, has a lot of cash. They buy the rough because they have an industry that is in place in which they've invested millions, and they have a lot of money in capital to buy, to transform, and to wait, because selling cut stones takes time, and it really requires a lot of money. So this is something you need to understand, because unless, a miner needs cash. A mine needs cash. They cannot wait, and they cannot cut all their production and wait it is sold. They go broke. They will never be able to sustain their mining. So this is a conclusion to what was said today.
Thank you very much, Jean-Claude Michelou. And now I ask the audience, is there anybody else who has still an opinion? We have still a few minutes time. Please. It's your time.
I'm Ivan Mitwa from Kaja Mining. I'm the head of finance. My question is directed at Mr. Msonda. I've read a lot about the exchange that was established in Angola. I never worked for the mining industry. I've just been here for 1 year and 6 months. I worked in a manufacturing company. But I want to find out from you, Mr. Msonda, did you have the plan, the numbers that we expected, the turnover in terms of what we expected to come out of the establishment? Then did you look at the numbers of the company that was supplying you the emerald that you expected? As we were able to see from the numbers that were presented from the chairman, I wasn't there, but you'll be able to see the downside. Kajam by 2008 had an accumulated loss of $1 million. So why did you expect the company to continue producing and supply that company that was being established in Indore? And you have mentioned to say, at that time, there were a lot of banks who were willing to give you the money. I don't know if you are aware, the information that I have, there was no bank in Zambia, my brother is from Blacklist, there was no bank in Zambia in 2008 that was willing to give money to Kajam. Everyone looked at the books of Kajam, they threw it, because the company was useless, it was bankrupt. No bank, other than Finance Bank, who came on board and lent that money to Kajam. It had the accumulated loss of $31 million. But the company has transformed and is able to sell. And you've got the numbers, the sales. That's what I want to find out. Did you have the numbers that we expected to generate? And where do we get more value? Is it from forcing a company to supply to another and sell that gemstone? I worked for a company which was dealing in copper. We were not forced to be given copper. We bought the copper LME. And we found the strategy to sell that copper. Thank you.